Hello friends, this is Pastor Bakoshi again. Today I want to share on the issue of the benefits of conflicts. Not all conflicts is entirely bad. Indeed, the Bible in a particular portion, and I like to use the metaphor, refers to it as holy ground. Now by my mention of the holy ground, I'm referring to that story of Moses in the burning bush. Moses saw a bush burning, yet it wasn't consumed, and he wanted to go and find out. And the Lord told him, hey, Moses, this is holy ground. Off your shoes, this is holy ground. So conflict is holy ground. Now I see the metaphor of the offing of the shoes as metaphor of being naked, of saying the truth. Because when you speak the truth, it is that you are unveiling what has been hidden that generated the conflicting situation that you find yourself in. So there are benefits to conflict because it will open up what has been hidden so that there will be interface between the conflicting people or the conflicting partners or the conflicting societies. So take the issue of the end bad governance. Government was crying, there is going to be hijacked. What government was saying in essence from somebody who understands conflict is that zip your mouth or keep quiet or be silent or don't bring the issues up to the forefront because it will be hijacked. Yeah, hijacking, violence are unintended consequences. Sometimes there could even be intended consequences of the situation of conflict, but conflict brings out what needs to be shared. Well, is conflict avoidable? It could be avoided if we are willing to listen to one another. I'm already talking about certain features that will help us in our interactions with one another, that will help us in our relationship with one another. And that is why I say conflict has benefits. Conflict may not necessarily be bad in itself, despite the unintended or intended consequences of such conflict. Because sometimes you'll find out that in our relationship with one another, whether in the business field, whether in politics, whether in governance, whether in whatever situation, whether even in the marital lifestyle, conflicts are about to ensue because of differences of beliefs or worldviews, because of issues perhaps of tribalism, perhaps of ethnicity, because of interpersonal differences. I'm now highlighting about 3 causes of conflict this time around. Now, I want to just zero in on the issue of interpersonal differences, and then I'll come back to the more general one on the effects or the analysis of some of the effects of the bad governance issue. Now, when you talk about interpersonal differences, you're talking about diversity of the way that we are. We are male and female. We have also diverse ways. Some of us are introverted, some of us are extroverted. Some are open, some are closed. So you find all these dimensions in the way we relate to one another. So one way or the other, because of the way we are wired, we tend to rub each other wrongly. Sometimes intentional, sometimes unintentional. Now, to talk about those interpersonal differences or the diversity that we have, one can go to psychology and look at there are people who are directors, who like to give commands, who like to see that things happen. These are people who are more of task oriented. That's another dimension to our differences in the personal difference. Some are more task oriented, some are more functional in the way they see life, that it is solving problems and so on and so forth. They are not too keen on how they relate with one another, while some are more keen on how they relate with one another. So you have the directors who are more interested in achievement. They are goal getters. So anything that will stop them from achieving their goals, they find it as something that is a destiny killer. I know that one hits something with some of us. Destiny killer. So they want to kill that destiny killer, but that shouldn't be. You have some who are socializers. These are people who are more people oriented. These are people who will come to see you and sit on your desk, stop you from using your computer, stop you from reading, and want you to listen to them. They are entertainers. These are people who love to socialize. Then you have people who love to relate. These are people who are a bit slow, who do not want to see a lot of changes. They don't want to hurt you. They are like tax orienters, yet they also love people. Then you have the thinkers. Thinkers are those people who are everything they want to do must be almost perfect or near perfect. They want to think about it. These are people who love to think about the outcomes before they take a step forward. So these are people who are also interested in tax, but they're also in relating well with people, not hurting people. So you see these diversities in the way we relate. And these diversities are found in both male and female. So this is one of the ways that you find, especially in the marital relationship, that you find problems in. You may find a wife who is more of a director, and then you have people saying, "One na imujin hajia." Sorry to use the English language. I mean the Hausa. This one is dominated by his wife, or so on and so forth. But then the issue is this: diversity, differences is a gift from God. It is not a problem at all. So it shouldn't be a problem for us if we see it as a gift. It means that it is a way of understanding one another. So the conflict that our diversity or our differences or our interpersonal differences will bring is an opportunity for us to now understand each other better, to now open up our hearts, open up our minds, remove our clothes and be naked before one another and tell the truth to one another so that we can understand and move forward. Now, coming back to the larger picture of what happened in the end bad governance, the burning of shops, this looting, and the rest of them. Conflict is multidimensional. That's why there are so many factors involved with the issue of conflict. But there are benefits, of course. Now, with this end bad governance, the materialistic argument is that there are no benefits because things were burned, lives were lost. About 20 we heard in the news. But there are benefits because there is a shift. There's a paradigm shift on the path of the government and on the path of the people who went out to canvass for end to bad governance. What is the shift on the government side? You began to see ministers speak and address issues or what they are doing. You began to see governors speak with regard to issues. You heard also the president speak and stuck to his gun by saying that the overaching interest of this of his governance is that we must not allow a few to hold us captive, and that is why he has to remove the fuel subsidy, and that is why he has to allow the dollar to float. Well, I'm not holding for the government. I'm not saying anything. Well, it's left for him to continue to defend what his position is. It's left for him to continue to listen, because with the issue of conflict, there's a need for each conflicting partners to listen to one another. It's very critical, and tell the truth to one another. It's very critical. That is why it is holy ground, because if we need to forge ahead, we need to talk holistically, we need to talk truthfully to one another. We need to avoid power plays. What do I mean by power plays? Flexing your muscle, standing and saying that it is what I want that must be done. It is this way or that. It is either my way or the highway. It's either you kowtow to me or that I destroy you. No. Listen to one another, no matter the difficulties, no matter the challenges. So I tell you, with this end bad governance, there is a lot. In fact, it's a seismic shift, a huge shift, a gigantic shift from where the government was, a gigantic shift also from where the protesters were. So there are tremendous benefits as a result of this, because the government now will not take the people for granted, because the people also will not take the government for granted. So I'm sure, give or take, there will be the negotiation, because negotiation is also critical. Communication is also critical. Sitting down to discuss is also critical. So conflict is not all that bad, even though there are unintended and intended consequences to it. But that is the whole of life indeed. One way or the other. The only thing that you have to do is to decide, what would I do with the situation that I find myself in? So conflict has benefits, but we must understand where we are at every moment. We must understand what we need to do at every moment. Thank you for listening.